Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Roadbrewer.com. It is Saturday the 13th, I think. What is it? The 13th. We had a little action yesterday in silver. As it approached $30, the riggers allowed it to go up from $28.82 during the day just to get it up to get some weak hands in, then slam it down. I wish I could say this is something new. It's not. It is the same old pattern. It's just the commercials doing this. But then who is the one selling? That's the big question. They all collude together for the most part. I think the sellers would be it's hard now because of the reporting on the CFTC on the positions. A lot are being counted as other reportables and non-reportable positions all of a sudden. Those are the big players so that you can't track what goes on. We can see that the commercials increased the amount of shorts going into, but it wasn't huge, going into the cutoff, which was last Tuesday. So I think this is pretty much a short-term operation for the cabal. I would say my guess is just a few days, maybe a few weeks of downward pressure. Anything below 25, India is going to load up on either 10 million ounces or 100 million ounces or a billion ounces. Anything below 25, that's where India stopped buying. And now they're waiting for a pullback. It wasn't coming, but at some point they're going to panic and say, holy shit, this isn't coming down far enough for us to load up on silver as they usually do. Same with China. So don't know. I wouldn't, obviously don't sweat it. If you've been in silver long enough, you've been through 100 of these. This is not a big setup. It's not a big setup by the cabal. Maybe I would say 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks would be the maximum downward pressure. But this is a lot has to do with the secret hedge funds like BlackRock and Carlyle Group, by the way. I just found some interesting information about Carlyle Group. Again, that's the entity that hires all the ex-military, all the ex-presidents, deep state operations. So anyway, you guys all know that if you've been studying the silver market at all. But this is what happened. As you can see, about noon, I don't know if this is Eastern time. I don't know what time this is on this chart. It started to climb up really fast and everybody's getting excited. That doesn't mean a lot of people were buying into the rise. This is controlled. And I don't think it was short covering because they let it rise, and then they slammed it down. Now the question is, there's a few questions. Number one, who's they, Bix? I've pointed out who they is many times. It's JP Morgan, Bank of America, HSBC, all colluding together. The same people that got busted for rigging the silver market back from 2008 to 2015. If you read the documents, please read the documents, that they were charging these traders for and JP Morgan for, not just JP Morgan, it was like 4 different banks. And they have the conversations back and forth to each other. I'm going to slam. Okay, I'll be ready. I'll slam with you, blah, 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 blah. It's all documented. And Jeffrey Christian won't say that the silver market's rigged. It's insane. So that's what happened. How much volume did it take? It took 1.1 billion ounces of silver over the total of mine supply and over the total of recycling. 1.139 billion ounces of derivative silver was dumped on the market yesterday. Volume. Every long there's a short, right? It's right here. It's 100 and the volume was 227,000 contracts, which is 1.14 billion ounces dumped on the market just to make the price go up to 30 and then back down from 30 back to where it was 2 days ago. So that's kind of where we are. It's taking more and more for them to do things like this. If they keep pushing it down farther, which they can. I mean, they can click a mouse and put it to zero. They did it with oil. They clicked the mouse and put the price of oil at minus $40. So, I mean, if you've been in this game long enough, you're not worried about $30 silver or $50 silver or $5 silver. You load up when you can. You sit and you wait until these criminals are gone. And this could have been a moment when they would have gone bye-bye. But nope, they got a little juice left. I don't think much. It'll be interesting next week on Wednesday. The Silver Institute is going to have to tell the world that they were off by over 100% on their estimates of how much silver was used in solar in 2023, last year. So they're going to have to tell the world. If they don't, then they're going to get everybody saying, hey, how could you not see this? Are you really an institution that is supposed to be promoting silver as a commodity, or are you an institution that promotes the banker short position, tries to cover it up? And I would stretch that question to metals focus too. They're going to have to come up with something close to 300 million ounces, which is what the chairman of the board of the Silver Institute said. It's still below where I am. 350 to 400 million ounces were used last year. And oh, by the way, for the first quarter, even more is being used this year. Even more is going into China solar this year. And they're making even more panels. I know there's a massive glut of panels. They did not stop. Why do you think Janet Yellen ran over to China and said, stop making solar panels, stop making electric cars. You're destroying what are they destroying? I mean, we already yelled at them for destroying the planet's atmosphere because they have so much coal in China. They're trying to fix that problem. Why is Janet Yellen going there saying stop making electric cars and solar panels? Why is the U.S. government really saying stop buying electric cars? California's changing all the rules about solar. You can't sell back to the grid and shit like that. Why all of a sudden is the left saying, oh my God, don't you dare try to make solar panels. Don't you dare try to make electric cars. You see where they are? They're screwed because either they didn't know how much silver had to be used in a green economy, or they knew and they tried to destroy the system. I don't know. It could be anything. But my guess is within a year, we've got about 2 terawatts, I think, 2.5 terawatts of solar that has been installed. Within a couple years, all those will be torn down and melted for if you got $10,000 an ounce silver prices and you're you have solar on your roof and you find out, oh my God, I got so much money on my roof. All I have to do is figure out a way to melt it down, melt it out of the current solar panels are really hard to get the silver out. Like, not impossible. They used to use wires, but now they spray it on in just micro silver. It's this tiny amount, It's per watt around 17, but that's rising. 17 grams per watt. That's rising now. With the introduction of TopCon, no matter what the Silver Institute says, or these people who literally lie and cheat and steal for a living. But hey, our job is to promote the truth on the road to Ruta, and I hope that's your job too. Speaking of the truth, the U.S. Mint still hasn't made a Silver Eagle for a month and a half. Completely against the law, completely criminal, completely obvious. Another reason why, and you lump that, and why is Janet Yellen running over to China to say stop making solar panels and electric cars and batteries? You got to wonder what's going on behind the scenes, right? And why they had to dump 1.1 billion ounces on the head of the price of silver to make sure it didn't go through $30. They knew it was coming. 1.1 billion ounces. That's a big chunk of derivative silver to dump on a market in a single day. The CFTC, of course, will do nothing about it. And not many people are saying anything about volume. Nobody cares about volume, which is embarrassing. But that's how prices are rigged every day. It's the volume, my friends. Here it is right here. 227,833 contracts times 5,000 ounces of silver per contract gives you 1.139165000 1.14 billion ounces of derivative silver to conduct an operation that really wasn't that successful. I mean, they should have, in the past, they would have dumped the price, $3 or $4 with that kind of slam. Now they're getting maybe 50 cents. Well, it went up. It was up $1, and then they dumped it $1.50. So, yes, that's the con that we're living in. And you want to know who it is? Well, here's some idea. Look who had to place a delivery mid-month. This is not a delivery month for silver. Usually by now all the deliveries are made. Somebody went into the market, said, "Oh my God, I need a certain amount of silver and I need it now." And here it is. Who took it? Bank of America. Dun, dun, dun. And who was the provider? JP Morgan customers. Of course, the same people that did the leasing deal. And there's a whole lot of banks involved in that. Let's see how much this was, which really makes it kind of ridiculous. So Bank of America had to go in mid-month to get 1.3 million ounces of physical from JP Morgan for some reason. And they had to, are they giving it back to JP Morgan, or what is the con this time? But I mean, there's your two main players, JP Morgan and Bank of America. Bank of America was not even in silver about 4 years ago, barely in silver. And then they became the largest silver derivative holder on the OTC market, along with JP Morgan. They've had about the same amount of, well, we're not sure if it's 100% silver. There's probably a little platinum and a little palladium, but it was mainly silver on this crazy lease scam that they were doing after JP Morgan got busted, had to pay $1 billion in fines. Well, excuse me, $920 million in fines, and they booked in their precious metals trading department, they booked $1 billion gain. So they netted $80 million after being fined. One of the largest fines in commodity history. Welcome to America, my friends. All right. So yeah, who's that other one? JP Morgan customer. This is the largest delivery category out of all the delivery categories in silver on the COMEX. The JP Morgan customer. JP Morgan customers right here didn't do anything prior to JP Morgan getting busted. There was nothing coming out of JP Morgan, quote, customer account. And once JP Morgan signed the deferred prosecution agreement in 2000, all of a sudden JP Morgan customer went crazy and the Bank of America lease deal started. And that's kind of where we are right now. Who are the JP Morgan customers, quote, quote? I would say they're BlackRock, and they're companies like this one. Remember our friend Jeff Curry of Goldman Sachs? Remember him? The shorts are the ETFs. The ETFs buy the silver, give it to the SLV, and then short it on the COMEX. I'm like, well, wait. That's completely illegal. Who owns that silver that the authorized participants are putting into SLV? Is it the authorized participant who owns it, or is it SLV? That's rehypothecation of assets. That's illegal. You got two ownership categories. You got SLV. You got SLV shareholders who have claims on the shares of SLV, claims on the metal within the SLV. And then you got JP Morgan holding it for you. This is such a freaking con. But where'd he go? He went to Carlyle Group. Yeah, he said he was retiring, and all of a sudden he pops up at Carlyle Group, one of the most criminal hedge fund type. It's deep state. All the presidents go there afterwards. That's where they get paid out. Carlyle Group. Here he is. This is during the silver short squeeze in 2021. When we were literally, this is the last time that silver was at $30 back in 2021. And I think it was January, end of January, beginning of February, when the silver squeeze happened, I think, right around there. And so they had to bring this guy, Jeff Curry, who was the head of research for gold and silver at Goldman Sachs, to come on and explain why there can't be a short squeeze in silver. Listen to what he says.
But I guess my question is, forget the ETF. In terms of thinking about how you're going to create a squeeze, the shorts are the ETFs. The ETFs buy the physical, they turn around and they sell on the COMEX to be able to hedge that physical position like any other corporate. It's not a naked short like in an equity. But here's the main reason why I don't think it's possible to squeeze one of these markets like what the Hunt brothers did in 1980. You got position limits in these markets.
Unless you spread them out between a bunch of different JP Morgan customers. And what did he say? He gave up the ghost on national television. The ETFs buy the silver. The ETFs put these baskets of silver, 50,000 ounces per basket, into a security that is bought and sold on the exchanges. So who owns that silver? Who got paid for that silver? When the ETF buys the silver, they get paid back from the sale of shares. So they no longer have ownership of that silver, the ETF or the authorized participants. Ownership is for the benefit of the shareholders. So Jeff Curry just said, no. That's not how it happens. The ETFs buy the silver and then go short their own freaking commodity on the COMEX. Are you kidding? Where's fiduciary responsibility of BlackRock? If he's saying that BlackRock is doing that, that's completely illegal. And he just said that. So where's the CFTC? Where's the SEC? Especially the SEC. Gary Gensler. It's not like you don't know that JP Morgan has rigged the silver market. What do you think he was doing the entire time? What do you think JP Morgan was doing the entire time while you were the head of the CFTC? And you were the one that made the decision that Bart Chilton said, well, JP Morgan was way off sides, but a political decision was made not to bust them, to let them continue to rig the silver market. That's what that's what Bart Chilton said before he died with the interview with Chris Marcus. Welcome to the world of silver, my friends. What can you do? There's only one thing you can do. Get physical silver in your own possession as much as you can and wait. I have no doubt the price of silver is going to go to minus $40. And everybody will say, what? That's impossible. No, you got to store it. It's a con. We are living in a con. And the same thing with stocks and bonds and everything else. Everything's about to blow. JP Morgan came out and said, banks are in trouble again. The largest bank in the world as far as derivative holdings, at least we know of, 53 or 54 trillion dollars. Maybe a Citibank or Goldman just beat them out, but they've been the largest for 20 years or so, and they're in trouble. What could go wrong, right? Anyway, so Much Ado About Nothing, the latest Silver Slam. Kind of fun to watch. Glad to know they're still there, rigging the prices. Interesting to note about this whole slam is it took 1.14 billion, B with a billion ounces on Friday had to be sold into the market. Yes, the same amount was bought. And that's how the con is played, my friends. Hey, Joe, you sell over there, I'll buy over here, ready to go. And we'll fake everybody and we'll bring the price down. We'll bring it up and then we'll bring it down. And don't worry, the CFTC's on our side. They won't do anything to us. And we'll announce some news on that inflation's getting higher to make it look legit. Are we sure we got the okay for this? Yeah. Janet Yellen called from China right after China told her to pound sand, and they're going to make as many solar panels as they possibly can. She called and said, we have to rig the market lower. Don't let it hit $30. So everybody's on board. How many people on board? There's about 30 different banks and hedge funds. It's going to be great. We're going to make a lot of money. Meanwhile, all the real metal goes to China and India. There's your behind-the-scenes look at free markets in the United States of America. All right, that's where we are right now. We are currently giving away on the private road at Road to Ruta, 5 Theta, 50 T-Fuel, 500 T-Drop. Do I think cryptos will go to zero also with the crash of the system? Of course they will. Why? Because there'll be no exchanges open. Nothing will be open. There'll be no money with the banks. You got to think bigger picture. JP Morgan has $53 trillion in derivatives. When that goes, there's no checking accounts. There's no savings accounts. There's no crypto exchanges open. There's no nothing. That takes out a $2 quadrillion derivative market and wipes the playing field clean. And then we got to start fresh. That's when you want to have cryptos. That's when you want to have certain cryptos. That's when you want to have silver in your own possession. So it's not going to happen. It didn't happen Friday. For some reason, they're very scared of $30 silver. Probably the amount of losses. They were piling up for the banking cabal as it reached 30. I think Ted Butler had them at like $6 or $7 billion in losses just in the past few weeks. But they're covering that right now, some of it at least. And then we don't know what's going on in physical. Anything below $25, India's going to buy however much metal they can. They bought 70 million ounces in February. Imported 70 million ounces. If they throw it below 25, I would guess they'd do maybe 300 million ounces, maybe 1 billion ounces of physical silver. It's free stuff. Just listen to Jeff Curry. In the same interview, Jeff Curry says, there's 25 billion ounces of silver in this market. I'm like, in what world do you live, dude? 60 billion ounces have been mined in human history. At least 90% are gone. Where'd they go? In the last 100 years, they've been thrown away. Yes, we will be mining through trash heaps in the future. But it's in like little scraps of electronics that they don't recycle because you can't get the silver out. Because who cared about silver when it was $24? It's a throwaway metal. They even call it what was the term for it? A byproduct of mining copper. They're calling it a byproduct of mining copper. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Silver's so much more valuable than copper. No, they aren't going to put copper into solar panels. Copper rusts and corrodes. And if they did it, it would take at least 2 or 3 years to do it, no matter what the price of silver was, because they've already built and converted all the plants that are making TopCon. So any moron in solar that says, oh, we can swap out silver with copper is smoking, I don't know what they're smoking, but I don't want any of it. It's bad shit. So, the beat goes on. We're doing well. Hang in there, so gold and silver investors. Get your physical, get them in your own possession. Get your cryptos off the exchanges, get them in your own possession. Sit down on your silver throne and just ride this shit out, because it's going to get really ugly. Now's the time they start firing off nuclear weapons. So you better be careful. Everything is on the... I think there's good guys behind the scenes that are going to stop it from going that far, but they want to push us right to the edge to understand what we have given up as a country and as a race on this planet. Humans cannot live like this. And we need to take out bad guys. We need free markets, and we need truth and honesty. You do that, we can start fresh. You don't do that, we're going to have insanity and people dying left and right, especially in war. There's a reason the whole Iran, it's all run by the puppet masters. Will Iran fire weapons and all that, and will they try to drag the U.S. into war? Absolutely. That's part of the plan. Would we pay taxes on Monday if the Biden administration starts declaring war on who knows who they're going to declare war on? Iran. They just gave them billions of dollars for nothing. So they're in bed with them. Everything is fake. Everything you see is fake from here on out. This is Big Swear. I'll talk to you later.